Mr. Danielson will be filming us today. So thank you for being here, Bruce.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Jay Major, Sioux Falls, MedStar Paramedic, Ambulance Service. So, Christine, I'm going to put a little thing at you. I think you'll understand more than most. Your brother, Vinatieri, who's one of the best kickers in football, if he was kicking the football, imagine how good he would be if he had no defense to block him. Imagine how far back he could make a field goal and how good he would look by making that field goal with nobody there to disrupt that ball from going from there into the field goal. There's a reason that I'm saying that, Christine, and it's not to point at you, but I thought that was a pretty good analogy. I sit in this morning at the informational meeting. I once again listened to a description of how REMSA and those folks feel about how the ambulance services, time responses, and mutual aid and things are going in this town. And once again, the same analogy works. As you heard all these big acronyms, you heard about how great everything was, but you didn't hear anything from anybody else who might have been able to dispute any of it. And I'm not going to have time in 5 minutes, obviously, to dispute a lot of this, but there's a lot of information that we've also accumulated for the betterment of our services, not to get people in trouble, not to say that we're better than anybody else, but there has to be a truth detector in this business also, and there's no truth detector yet. And we sat and listened to that. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you why I feel I'm able to talk to you about ambulance service. I'm going to show you my service. There's the front of our building. We started in an old car wash bay. We went from the car wash bay to a 6-bay and another 5-bay out in Hartford, South Dakota. We have 7 critical care ambulances, and there's going to be some other things I'm going to tell you about. That's where it all began. We have a full-fledged billing office, 24-hour dispatch with, and this is things you probably haven't seen before. We can track everything that we're doing on the screens in front. Every place our vehicles go, we can see how fast they're going, when they brake, when they turn. In fact, when they start that vehicle motor up. 24-hour dispatch center. This is our billing office. That's Crystal. She's got all of the certifications of a master biller and coder. We have 2 folks just like that. That's our billing office. We have a full-fledged training center. And in this training center, we can train everything from this community CPR, which we do, all the way to the first aid for people, American Heart Association, advanced cardiac life support, PALS, pediatric, infant life support. We have instructors that teach everything up to the critical care paramedic protocols. We can do that right at MedStar. And Gary here is my director of operations. He and I have most of those certifications ourselves to do all that. We have a simulator, a very expensive simulator that we practice on with our intubations, IV skills, and so forth, that keeps our medics skilled. We have 2 of these vehicles you're looking at right here. That vehicle is 100% ready to take a 911 call, advanced life support with drugs, life packs, everything else you can imagine in an ambulance is in that vehicle. We have 2 of those. Something new that we've started, and you'll see, all of our ambulances are now getting a facelift. And we just bought 2 brand new ambulances. And as you can see, the Mount Rushmore is on this one. On some of the wheelchair vans, I'm going to show you that the service we're opening up, we also have, and here it says, obviously, we're equipped with the best medical equipment that you can buy. This is a new van that we bought. It's Mercedes-Benz. It has a picture of the falls on it there. We're proud of our heritage. That's the Sioux Falls right there on this brand new vehicle. This right here is part of our new fleet. And in this fleet, on this particular vehicle, we put the Statue of Liberty with all of our Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines. My brother is a Command Master Chief of SEALs Teams 5. His son is in SEALs Team 6. My dad was in the Air Force. We're thanking everybody for allowing me to stand here and speak in front of you. Thank you to all these folks for the freedom that they give us. That's going to go any place that ambulance goes. We're staffed with, we have 35 plus employees. And most of our employees are trained also not to perform, but also to teach with the state-of-the-art equipment. We have the LifePak 15, state-of-the-art LifePak 15s with that little machine over there, an automated CPR device. We have those in our vehicles, along with the IV pumps, That ventilator there that you see is the same ones that they use on the airplanes. We have 2 of those, trained to use them. How much time do I have, sir?
Jay, you're done. Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
I got just 20 seconds.
Jay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I should have asked you. Gary, do you want to finish? There you go. Gary's got 5 minutes. Go ahead and finish, Gary. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Gary. Introduce yourself, Gary.
I'm Gary Bauer. I'm the director of ops at MedStar.
Hi, Gary.
How you doing? Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I'll just kind of finish up real quick. To continue on what Jay was saying, we have integrated GPS systems in all of our vehicles so that we can keep track of where every vehicle's at any given second. I can ask my dispatcher, where's a truck, where's not a truck, and I can know. That's one of the things with the pooling that they were talking about today. We didn't have the opportunity to get this in with everybody because then instead of looking for 6 or 7 ambulances, they could look for add R5 to it. And if we just happen to be done at a hospital, for example, route us over to something. If you look on the right, that's oxygen assist system. That lifts the, lifts up the heavy bottle so the guys don't have to pick it up with their back and everything. And we also carry medical air, which is pretty new in this day and age. That allows neonate transfers, newborn babies that are in crisis and all those things. A lot of those we operate hand in hand with the flight team for. But having that medical air is real handy for those big units. If you see them on TV, they have the little babies in them. You stick your hands in on the little gloves. It's those kind of units there. Here's our employee lounge, our quarters. We have quarters for all our employees. This is where they hang out waiting for a call. You know, not there very often, but we have TV, all amenities for like home. New transit business coming that we're looking into. We are approached by area hospitals concerning different transportation avenues other than emergent ambulance or non-emergent ambulance. So Jay went out and we found some wheelchair vans, and we're looking into getting into that endeavor relatively soon. That's another. We have 2 of these vehicles. That's the second one. As everybody knows, MedStar, we own and operate a dirt track race rescue team. Very, very proud of that. A lot of national prominence with that, all based out of Brandon. This is a really cool picture of my aquarium that's in my office. We even have our own aquarium. But if you'll notice, see that eel? That's important because he's one of the biggest eels that the guy that ran the place told me from, so we took a picture of it. Thank you for your opportunity.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that as well. Welcome.
I'm Bruce Danielson. There was supposed to be some music with this that I hope you will go out to our website and actually see this video. So I'm just going to kind of let it play out here for a little bit, and it goes for about 3 minutes. But this past week, we had the dedication of the new office building, what we're calling the Romantics Annex. And we saw some things that were going on and wanted to highlight it in here, so I'll let you all read it. You notice everybody got their own little gold shovel.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know that I need to sit and watch this.
There's just a few more moments of this. And it is really important because what we discovered in this whole process was that we had 8 city council members that were actually dissed in this whole process. And that's significant. There's 5 members sitting here that wanted to be at the meeting, at the groundbreaking. In fact, 2 of them sitting up here that got dissed were sitting there, and they weren't even asked to sit at the front of the room, which I thought was very surprising. And so we've had, after 2 successive city councils voted to stop the soon-to-be-built Romantics Annex office building for city employees, 6,404 citizens of Sioux Falls in 2016 asked through a petition drive to stop this foolhardy plan. I'm here to present a simple sign to show our appreciation, and I have former Councilman Kermit Staggers here with me, and we had this petition drive, and we wanted to show our appreciation for all 8 of the principled people's representatives who were overlooked at last week's groundbreaking. Greg Jameson, Dean Karski, Kermit Staggers, you can go ahead and pop that up. Kermit Staggers, Christine Erickson, Greg Neitzert, Marshall Selberg, Teresa Staley, and Patrick Starr. Since you did not receive your commemorative garden utensil last week, Stop the Funding now presents you with your own version for your desk. And we want to thank you for your service. So when the meeting is over, I'd like to be able to present these to y'all. And thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Good evening, Council. My name is Josh Kaiser. When is it on the books to fix 49th from Oxbow to Western? That's just rough. If you've ever driven down there, you'll say the same thing. It needs to be fixed. It's been patched probably the last 10 years. It needs to be fixed. And Mary, you had a Q&A at Black Sheep Coffee House, and you had that African-American gal that worked at LSS saying there's not jobs for the African-Americans. I work at Popeyes on South Louise. It's 80% blacks and 1% Hispanic and Guatemalans and 19% whites that work there. I've worked there since they opened November 22nd of last year. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Scott Harrisman, Sioux Falls. I was watching that, I'm gonna fix my hair here, I had a little hat here. I was watching the informational at 4 o'clock and about the Paramedics Plus thing, and it was funny because when we were told that they were gonna start doing this project, Joe Franken told the media, the citizens of Sioux Falls, and the city council that we were all too ignorant to understand their plan. Okay, so we come fast forward to today, we get to hear the plan. Well, for one, there was no supporting documents online in Sire to show the presentation, for one. So we're all waiting in anticipation to hear about this secret plan that was so complicated. They didn't tell us anything. Told us the exact same thing that they were going to do at the beginning of the month. So I'm wondering, what was the secret plan? Did we get to hear it today? Or is it still a secret? I'm guessing it's still a secret. The main reason I came up here is, I don't complain about the roads too much. I think our roads are in pretty good shape on the main arterials. It's a lot of the back streets that are bad. But recently there was a huge water pipe explosion, I think around Christmas, over by Avera. And where it happened was in between 2 railroad tracks that are uplifted from Cliff Avenue and they're already a pain in the butt to go over, to tell you the truth. But anyway, they hurry up and they fixed the problem, and then they came back and they repaved it. Now, I don't know who is in charge of repaving that, but I don't know if they know what a level is or a transit or anything like that, but that has got to be one of the worst jobs I have ever seen anybody refill a hole like that. It's terrible. And I hope that this spring, when the weather improves, that they smooth that out. They basically poured squares. So you get to jump over the first railroad track, you get to go down on this dip, and then you hit another dip, and then you pop back up, and then you hit the railroad tracks again, and you jump over it like that. You basically got to go about 10 miles an hour through there, or you're going to lose the front end of your car. So I hope this spring, unfortunately, we'll have to spend a bunch more money tearing it all up and actually making it smooth. And maybe the city can pull out one of their transits or levels and figure out how that works. Thank you.
Sierra Broussard, Sioux Falls. Not to talk about the homicide case that just happened on January the 1st, because I'm well aware of what happened. It's very disturbing that the media and Chief Burns said that alcohol was a factor. I'm going to say that we had 2 victims in this case. This homicide could have been prevented. We have one that's deceased and one that's in jail facing charges. I'm going to reach out to the transgender community. We have to better protect ourselves when it comes down to certain situations, that we don't have to get beat up, be put in ICU, or murder. This homicide could have been prevented. Second of all, as you know, that this is going to affect council on their budgets in October. Children's Inn has discriminated against the transgender community. I have filed a legal complaint against them at the ACLU. If we do not come up with an agreement, I ask that the city take the money of the $12,000 or $15,000 and do not give it to the Children's Inn. I am a domestic abuser, not once but twice, so I know what it's like to be domestic abused. But not putting transgenders into the Children's Inn if you didn't have the correct surgery is nonsense. We're not going to put the transgender community in hotels and check on them once a day. So I'm letting you know now that the litigation has started, and it will affect council members, because I'm going to ask that that money be pulled from them when it comes to budget time if they do not come to an agreement. As of right now, they're not being cooperative at all. Again, the crime is on the rise here in Sioux Falls, and I am aware of it. But it takes the police departments that is doing their job. The police department cannot go on the streets and start picking up the crime. We do not have citizens coming forward to actually testify in court and to get these criminals off the streets. This is where we come with the crime here. I'm asking the citizens to step forward on this crime and help the police departments. This homicide case that happened in an apartment building, no one heard about nothing, didn't see nothing. The only thing that they had to go on was a videotape. I encourage the people of Sioux Falls to get involved when crimes happen in their community. Help the police. Yes, you're going to have to testify sometimes. It's just how it is. If we don't get a grip on this crime here, we're going to see more homicides, and we're going to see more drug dealing, and we're going to see more human trafficking on these streets. So I encourage that the police department is meeting us halfway on this, but the citizens need to meet the police department the rest of the way here. Thank you for your time, Mayor, and thank you for council members.
Did anybody else want to engage?
Greetings, elected council and mayor, and also greetings, citizens. Now, as you can tell from the slide, my name is David Zokaitis, and I'm very interested in civil rights and civil liberties. Today's topic is all about multiple jeopardy because I'm afraid that double wasn't big enough of a number. I had to yank it up and we did double jeopardy in my presentation today. So, here's one. Left button, right button, right button. All right. Okay. The first thing you should think about when talking about double jeopardy is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In particular, we will start with the Fifth Amendment. Here's an important little quote. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. So what does that mean? Well, you know, it's pretty easy to read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. The way I look at this is it says if you do one thing bad, there's one offense, one crime, one law, one trial, one punishment. Simple. But the government of the United States of America, city, state, and city and state governments, federal governments, what we've managed to do over the years and decades is get this huge morass of overlapping laws. And as a consequence, what used to be one bad thing now becomes several. And what this has done over the years is promote long prison sentences. We've gotten away from trials and implemented plea bargaining instead. We've also managed to achieve #1 status in terms of prison population. Got more prisoners than any other country. If you look at all the countries of the world, we're #2 in terms of incarceration rate. These are not the kind of trophies we want to achieve. I think there's something very wrong with what's going on in our country. Now, here's a hypothetical example. If the government wanted to criminalize drugs, you might make all of these laws. Illegal to sell drugs, buy them, own them, use them, transport. Illegal to have a place where drugs are stored. And you might make a few more. Illegal to maintain a residence where drugs are used. Can't buy paraphernalia, can't transport it. And then you can double all of these because you could have them on the state level and the federal level. So now this more or less hypothetical example shows how you can create 20 crimes for doing one bad thing. Now, if you go back to the Constitution, you know, it says can't do it twice. I think according to our government, twice wasn't nearly enough. 20 times looks like it would work out a whole lot better. Now, if you read reports of who's being prosecuted for what, you can see that multiple jeopardy is standard practice. I think that's not what we should be having. The United States Supreme Court is supposed to be the final arbiter of our Constitution. It's selected by the Congress and the President. We all know that. But if you think a little bit more, you would expect the Supreme Court to reflect the values of Congress and the President. So if we have a good, noble Congress or a thoroughly corrupt Congress, the Supreme Court's going to be just the same way. I've tried to figure out what's making all of this go awry, and I think one of the big problems is expensive elections. If you're spending millions of dollars to get elected, that money's got to come from somewhere. It's going to come from rich donors who want to be richer tomorrow. And the way to do that is to keep the little people under control. And if you look at the last bullet point here, this all looks a little cynical, but it has marvelous explaining power. So that's my explanation. And a related problem, again, it looks cynical, but it's got great explaining power, is what the news media does. We've got a news media that's beholden to rich owners, and all you have to do is tweak every little article just a little bit, and then decades later, you've got a propaganda machine. Not good. I think if we could have public financing of elections, we could roll all of this garbage back and have government for the people. And we could have some compassion for the powerless, as the pastor said in his opening invocation. There is beauty upon the earth, and I want us all to remember that. So here's a nighttime shot I took of some trees. And with that, I bid all of you and all of you a good evening.
Folks, is there anybody else who want to engage the council? Welcome, sir.
My name is Jeff DeYoung. I guess I was up here recently trying to get property rezoned. I have a kind of a comment, I guess. I know the city rezones property at their desire too that way. It was explained to me that they don't bother sending out notices to individuals that property is rezoned in there. We own a piece of property that was changed from a C2 to an I1 zoning in there. It was explained to me it was kind of magically appeared, might have been an accident, but why they would zone a residential house as I1, I have no idea. But I don't know how much that happens, and to me, yeah, it was explained to me that there's not enough, it takes too much money to send out notice to all the individuals where they're rezoning the property or put the signs up like we have to do when we want to try and rezone something. But I think if you're going to rezone somebody's property, you should at least have notice given to that person, not just an ad in the paper and not just a notice of a public hearing. And they need to have information ahead of time to know what's going on. You know, to me, I found out about this when at the point in time I tried to rezone the other piece of property along Grant Street. I just don't think it's quite right in there that the city does it that way. And yet as individuals and property owners, we have to go through the whole step. And there we have to put up signs and stuff like that. Where's the signs for my rezone, the rezone that happened on our property to it? And I just don't know the answer to it, but I just kind of wanted to make that comment. Thank you very much.
Jeff, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, folks, thank you very much for your comments. Could you put your cookies down, please? Security, escort this gentleman out, please.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.